try to make a difference in the world, we can continue to make an impact even after our Lord calls us home. Have you ever thought about the legacy that you want to leave behind? The Station of the Cross wants to help, so we've partnered with My Catholic Will to make it easy for you to make your will. Through My Catholic Will, you can write a will in as little as 15 minutes, and it's free. When you write your will, please consider a legacy gift to the Station of the Cross to help pass on the Catholic faith to future generations, perhaps even your own family members. Thank you, and may God bless you and your family.
Discover the timeless beauty of our Catholic faith with David Fielding's Our Faith and Light of the World series. These beautifully illustrated books bring the life of Christ and the teachings of the Church to life for children and families alike. Reverent artwork, engaging stories, and thoughtful activities inspire young hearts to understand the faith and grow in love for it. Find these and more at castleofgrace.com, where faith and family meet in every page. That's castleofgrace.com.
Warfare. Secret number 9. Shun murmurs like a plague. In this secret, we are reminded that the tongue is a powerful vessel that can do great harm. Murmuring, gossiping is never of God. The devil is a liar who stirs up false accusations and gossip that can kill a person's reputation. Shun murmurs. Slander, detraction, and other forms of speaking evil about others unjustly are like a triple murder by words. They damage not just the person spoken about, but also the one speaking and the one listening. Speaking ill of others unjustly is a pest of society. Never speak evil of anyone, either directly or indirectly. Beware of ever unjustly imputing crimes and sins to your neighbor, which is slander. Of needlessly disclosing true faults, which is detraction, of exaggerating, of attributing wrong motives to good actions, of maliciously concealing the good or minimizing it in conversation. In all these ways we grievously offend God, but the worst is false accusations or denying the truth in a way that injures your neighbor.
The church has always taught that every soul receives all the graces they need for salvation. Every soul. Every soul. And so what is mercy? Mercy, Jesus Christ, number one, is mercy incarnate. He is mercy himself. Mercy is to forgive those who don't deserve to be forgiven. Mercy is to forgive those who deserve to be condemned by their sins. Mercy is to forgive those who crucify you, who spit on you, mock you, crown you with thorns. When the human race reached the lowest point ever, when our Lord was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, how did he respond? With mercy.
That's Sermons for Everyday Living, weekdays from 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern on the Station of the Cross.
This is Joe McClane, and you're listening to the Station of the Cross, proclaiming the fullness of the truth with clarity and charity.
Heard around the world on your Android and Apple mobile devices.
Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McClane starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you His Holiness Pope Leo XIV yesterday, in a video that got released by the Vatican, has now publicly spoken about the SSPX situation and their upcoming consecrations July the 1st for the first time. And golly gee whiz, there's a lot of questions here. He wants everybody to move on. He's saying don't do it because they don't accept certain things of Vatican II. I wonder if the Archbishop in Detroit, who praised the Muslims at the mosque in his backyard the other day, I wonder if he accepts everything in Vatican II. Sacrosanctum Concilium, anyone? Because he did get rid of the altar rails, and he's also trying to get rid of the Church and Latin Mass. Perhaps that bishop should also maybe be warned about potential schism. There's so many questions here to discuss. We're going to be discussing it at 14 past the hour with friend of the show, David John from iCatholicMobile.com. Great friend, great sponsor. We love iCatholicMobile.com, but he's going to be weighing in on the Pope Leo XIV public commentary, and we'll play the clip for you too at 14 past the hour. Also on the team is Jason Jones from the Vulnerable People Project. Donald Trump has made a deal, but is Israel listening? The Christians in the Holy Land are suffering, and he is one of the very few voices to discuss and raise the alarm about what's happening to the Christians in the West Bank. So Jason Jones from the Vulnerable People Project will be on at 30 past the hour to give us the latest on that. So much to talk about. We're going to put the show notes up for you at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Don't forget about my personal site, joemcclane.com, where you can stay up to date on my films, on my books, speaking, the pilgrimage, and so much more. Go to the vault. Check out 21 years of content that I've been making in the Catholic space, all right there at joemcclane.com. Let's get after it. Do share us with a friend. We would be grateful. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and now your saint of the day.
Saint Botolph, pray for us. Botolph was born to Anglo-Saxon Christian parents in the early 7th century. Opportunities to advance in the study of the faith were rare in Britain at that time, so Botolph and his brother Saint Adolf traveled to Gaul. Adolf became a bishop and stayed on the continent, though he eventually returned to England before his death and shares a feast day with his brother. Botolph returned much earlier to found a Benedictine monastery in what is now Lincolnshire, with the support of a local ruler. Persevering despite the location's initial oppression by diabolical activity, Botolph lived at the monastery for many decades, with a reputation not only for holiness, but for good cheer and friendly temperament. He was a spiritual advisor to St. Geoffrey, the teacher of St. Bede the Venerable, and he also undertook several missionary journeys throughout Britain. Botolph died a holy death after a long illness in the year of our Lord 680, and soon became one of the most widely venerated Anglo-Saxon saints of his time. Many places are named after him, including the Lincolnshire town of Boston, or Botolph's Town, after which the great American city is named. Because of his many travels, first to Gaul and then as a missionary in Britain, Botolph is a patron of travelers. For more about the saints and seasons of the Catholic Church, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. Saint Botolph, pray for us.
And now your headline news. LifeSite News reports Pope Leo XIV warns the Society of St. Peter, or St. Pius X rather, to avoid schism. Speaking outside his summer residence at Castel Gandolfo on Tuesday, Pope Leo XIV said the Vatican may once more appeal to the Society of St. Pius X to reconsider the episcopal consecrations. Quote, "Do not do this. Let us try to live in communion in the church, close quote, the Pope said, warning the society's refusal to accept certain fundamental elements of the church, beginning with various points of the Second Vatican Council, could be treated as a schismatic act. More on that coming up in just a few moments. Ground News reports Elon Musk's AI tool Grok was used in the strikes against Iran. In court filings on Monday, the Pentagon revealed its reliance upon Elon Musk's Grok government model for Project Maven, the military's AI-assisted targeting program currently deployed in Iran operations. The Pentagon shifted to Grok after terminating contracts with Anthropic, which refused to allow its Claude model for fully automated strikes or domestic surveillance operations. Several Democrats in Congress, including Senator Kristen Gillibrand, are proposing legislation to restrict military AI use and ensure human commanders maintain control over life or death decisions. Was it used in the bombing of that girls' school? I'm just asking. We should know. And Punch reports Trump tells the G7, I'm the boss. At the close of the three-day G7 summit hosted by President Emmanuel Macron on Lake Geneva, U.S. President Donald Trump strode into the final morning session declaring, I'm the boss, drawing laughter as the other leaders were already in their seats. Fresh from clinching the accord to end the war with Iran and celebrating his 80th birthday. And those are your headline news. The gospel today in the 1962 missal comes to us from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 23. At that time, Jesus spoke this parable to his disciples. For even as a man going into a far country called his servants and delivered to them his goods, and to one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to every one according to his proper ability, and immediately he took his journey. And he that hath received the 5 talents went his way, and traded with the same, and gained another 5. And in like manner he that received the 2 gained another 2. But he that received the 1, going his way, digged into the earth, and hid his Lord's money. But after a long time, the Lord of those servants came and reckoned with them. And he that received the 5 talents coming brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou didst deliver to me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained another 5 for thee above and over. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant, because thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will place thee over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And he also he that received the 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest 2 talents to me. Behold, I have gained another 2. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant, because thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will place thee over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. But he that had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I know that thou art a hard man. Thou reapest where thou hast not sown, and gatherest where thou hast not strewed. And being afraid, I went and I hid thy talent in the earth. Behold, here the talent which thou hast given me. The gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. I threw in 2 extra verses free of charge. You're welcome. Because that 1 talent is the most important one of all. The guy who gave 5 talents, the guy who gave 2 talents, both received the same reward. Getting into the joy of your master, into the kingdom of God, the beatific vision is the goal. If you get in, you are in. Whether you had the 5 talents or you had the 2 talents, you are in. But if you're the one who was given 1 and you buried it out of spite, out of some vitriol in your heart, out of bitterness, and you did nothing with the talents that you were given, woe unto you, because that's what happens. Woe unto you. Cornelius de Lapide had a lot to say today on this. So did Father Haydock. Father Haydock says, in the parable, the master is God, the talents, graces. And it shows we can do no good of ourselves, but only by means of God's grace, though he requires our cooperation. You are required to use all that you've ever been given for the glory of God, for the salvation of souls, and then thirdly, for the provision for you and for your family. It's in that order. First for the glory of God and the salvation of souls, and then for your own provision. You are a steward of all that God has given to you, whether they are talents, graces that he's given to you, resources like money, for instance, land, property, or whatever. All of it belongs to God. All of it is just a material creation that he has given to you to be a steward of. And you should always be the guy who has at least taken and did something with it, participated with God's graces, and tried to bring a return on investment. You tried, right? Versus the guy who buries it out of spite. Here, take your talent back. Woe unto you. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Introducing iCatholic Mobile, a mobile phone service that keeps you connected while supporting your faith. With every call, text, or web browse, a portion of your plan helps sustain the mission of the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network to spread the truth, defend the unborn, and strengthen souls. More info at iCatholicMobile.com. iCatholic Mobile underwrites for the Station of the Cross.
Hear what our listeners are saying about the regularly updated iCatholic Radio mobile app.
iCatholic Radio is the most truthful and important site that any of us could ever listen to today. We get the truth. We get good people telling us what is going on in the world. Thank you so much. It's a gift from God.
Download the free iCatholic Radio mobile app today on your Android or Apple mobile device.
Please join us in a prayer to St. Anthony of Padua. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O dear protector, St. Anthony, on this day we direct our fervent prayer to you, asking you to hear us and to intercede for us. We are parents who ask for peace in our families, our worthy occupations, and our daily bread. We are children who ask for divine assistance and protection in the hope of a successful and happy future. We are the needy poor, the afflicted, and sinners who come to you for help and grace. Therefore, speak on our behalf to that child whom you hold in your arms, and we are sure of being heard. Amen.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. His Holiness Pope Leo XIV has made his first public statements directly, personally, about the SSPX consecrations coming up. He was asked by a reporter outside Castel Gandolfo. I'm going to play it. It's in Italian. I will read the subtitles over for you. Certainly, we have invited, I'm still considering making another appeal to say, don't do this. Let's try to live the communion of the church. But it is their choice. It is necessary to take into account what it means for them and for the church. Certainly, the division among Christians is always a sore point, but they refuse to accept certain fundamental elements of the church, and beginning with several points of the Second Vatican Council. If they make that choice, it's regrettable, but we have to move forward. I'm going to link to this in the show notes for you at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. But joining us to weigh in on this is good friend of the show and sponsor of us here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network, David John from iCatholicMobile.com. David, good afternoon. Praise be to God. Thanks for being on the team.
Oh, praise be to God. Thank you. It's an honor and blessing to be on the show.
And thanks for everything at iCatholicMobile.com. We do appreciate you. It means a lot to us. God bless you.
That's all for the glory of God.
Let's talk about the Pope's comments here. First of all, what struck you about his comments? This is the first time he's ever spoken publicly. Everything else has come through, Cardinal Fernandez. So what are you thinking about this?
Well, we wonder how many Catholic religions we have. You have to think about extra ecclesia nulli solus and the ecumenicalism or ecumenical approach that Vatican II seems to be pushing, especially lately. I don't know what they disagree with, but it seems like the Pope has very specific ideas of where they're not in line with Vatican II and Catholicism. But it almost seems like the Pope is saying that we have the Catholicism from pre-Vatican II, which the SSPX is aligned with, and somewhere that no one's actually specifying where they're not aligned with Vatican II, which means perhaps it's a different religion now.
Yeah, right. And here's a question that I was asking yesterday. I played a clip of the Archbishop from Detroit, Weisenberger, at a mosque, basically saying that all religions are equal, and I'm just so glad. I hope and pray you're very successful here. This is a sacred place. I feel most at home here. This is an archbishop in the Catholic Church. Clearly, it would seem, as the guy who has punished traditional Catholics in his diocese, he doesn't buy everything in the Vatican II documents. He's clearly throwing out Sacrosanctum Concilium at the very least. So it begs the question, is Pope Leo suggesting that the litmus test for communion is 100% adherence to Vatican II? And if so, will he apply that standard to everyone across the board? Like the German bishops, for instance, who want to ordain women and bless same-sex couples and all the rest. It feels hypocritical. David, are you there?
I can't say what the Pope thinks, and I'm certainly not an expert in the subject, but it appears that if you believe there's doctrinal errors in Vatican II at all, or even in preambles to agreements that they're doing with the Dicastery of Ministry of Faith, doctrinal of faith, that somehow you're not in agreement with Vatican II. I can't say what the Pope's actually thinking, but it seems like he's embracing Digitatis Humanae and making that now doctrine in the church, where we're one of many parts of the body of Christ, as opposed to being one and the same in the body of Christ.
Right. I was looking at this post from my friend Mark Lambert from Catholic Unscripted, and he points out something that is very interesting in this. He says the communication that Cardinal Fernandez had with the SSPX earlier this year, he says he does not say you must accept every statement of Vatican II as an irreformable dogma, nor does, this is Cardinal Fernandez, this is what he said to the society. He doesn't say, he said, you don't have to accept everything as irreformable dogma. Nor does he say all questions regarding the council have already been settled. In fact, there was an offer to debate those issues in the original deal. So then I guess it goes back to Pope Leo now in his statements. He should list exactly what he means by this. What is it precisely that in Second Vatican Council that the society rejects, that they shouldn't or can't or not allowed to reject, and they have to accept? I mean, it's vague and ambiguous at best, and it seems to be contradictory to Cardinal Fernandez's own statements on this in communication with the society. What are we to make of that?
I really don't know, except that from what I've heard and read from some priests, but I can't say that this is all authoritative, is that they're being asked to sign documents that say that that their adherence to Vatican II is binding and that it's free of errors. Again, I don't know how accurate that is, but that's complete.
Do they make everybody sign this document? Does everybody sign this document, or just them?
Maronites, So no, I think this is part of the negotiations. Again, this is not firsthand. This is just things
what do you think he means
and seen and read.
What do you think he means by move forward? We must move forward. Like, do we just ignore all these issues and just move on and pretend like they never existed, or what does that mean?
it could be a nice thing if that's what he meant, but I think he's really talking about moving forward with the neo-modernist, neo-Protestant tendencies, and all religions lead to God one way or another. We just happen, as Bishop Barrett recently said, to be Catholic, so we have like a fast track. We can get into the carpool lane, but the road's all going in the same direction if you're a Baptist or you're Islamic or what have you.
So where do they go from here? I mean, I think I've been talking a lot about this lately. I don't go to the society. I don't plan to go to the society. But nonetheless, it feels like there's two tiers of justice, so to speak, within the church here. There is what they tolerate with the German bishops or the Archbishop in Detroit, as I mentioned earlier, or the guy in the Carolinas, Bishop Martin. Like there seems to be like it's okay if we just like tolerate their crazies, but we definitely can never tolerate the Society of St. Pius X. That feels truly hypocritical to me. So how is it? What would moving forward even look like if you could decide, what would it look like?
I mean, it truly is disturbing. I go to one or sometimes two masses with our team a day at a society priory, and I mean, they pray for the Pope at every mass. I don't know what more they really want out of them. I think there's a human element to this, that supporting them and making them fully in communion, as they say, with the church would be admitting they were wrong in 1988. And I think their heels are dug in on that. I think if it were up to me, well, if it were up to me, you would give them a couple of bishops and let them move on. What they do overseas, the SSPX are truly missionaries in Lefebvre's spirit, and what they're doing outside of the United States, what they're doing in rural areas in the U.S. is truly blessed. There's no one else there, and they're bringing people to the faith. They're bringing large families in to be formed correctly. I don't see how anybody could want them to be anything but a regular missionary priestly order within the Catholic Church. So I don't have a good answer for that because it's a mystery.
I've complained often, but it feels like the other day, when he was in Spain, he met with Bad Bunny, the Degenerate Bunny artist guy from Puerto Rico. Remember the Super Bowl halftime? He was happy to meet with him, which they were able to arrange ahead of time. But the SSPX has asked repeatedly to meet with His Holiness, and he won't meet with them. Like, he's got public comments, which I'm glad the Pope is speaking out about it. I mean, I want him to speak on this. I want him to deal with this. But why won't he meet with them? He'll meet with everybody, and I'm okay with him meeting with everybody. Why not the SSPX too?
It's hard to say. I think the statements that were an illustration from the Pope that he's in charge and not Cardinal Fernandez, that he's actually driving the train, and any decision to move forward, either with excommunication or something else, of the SSPX is coming from him. That was one very clear statement that I took away from all this beyond his words, that he's the one driving the train, but he won't meet with them. So it's hard to say. Perhaps he will reach out, as he seemed to indicate at the end of that statement, in the next day or two or three, and invite them, Fillet or somebody in person, to go to the Vatican. He invites, like you said, everybody else.
Well, he says in the statement that he's considering making one more appeal, one more push, one more appeal in order to avoid this. Well, why not make that appeal a personal invite to come to the Vatican? Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation behind closed doors. Like, he didn't seem to suggest that, did he?
No, he didn't. And, when you say you're not in sync with Vatican II, therefore, and you're not, how could you do that and excommunicate a holy order when you don't excommunicate Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden for clearly not being in sync with any Vatican I, II, or Vatican in the future? Yeah. So I'm really hoping that the Holy Spirit will prevail, and he will meet with him, but he could have said it right then and there in public and extended an invitation. You're correct about that.
So I said this the other, I think it was yesterday, maybe. I forget which day it was now, but I've talked so much about this lately. But I kind of feel like there's an effort within hierarchy circles to want to get to an excommunication. I feel like that's like the goal. Like, they're trying to push this back to the 1988 situation. They want another excommunication, almost as like a a Benedict should have never lifted it. So let's put it back there. And so they're trying to, avoid dealing with this because I feel like they could negotiate this if they really, really wanted to. It feels like they really don't. Do you think that's fair?
They being the Vatican or SSPX?
Members within the Vatican.
I agree. I agree entirely. I mean, I think they're pushing them into a corner. They've had plenty of time to be reasonable and get around the same room, get around a mic and a camera if that's what's necessary. But certainly, it looks like they've been, from the beginning, from early on, Cardinal Fernandez seems to have been pushing for this.
So do they just live with the label of excommunication and they just keep moving forward? I mean, excommunication is a big deal. It comes with a lot of implications, does it not?
Well, certainly they're not going to be able to issue most of the sacraments, as far as I understand. I don't know much about that area as well. I mean, the bishops would be excommunicated. The new bishops would be excommunicated. Does that mean all of the priests in the society are excommunicated? I don't think so, does it?
Yeah, it's going to be confusing at best to the lay folk, and we're going to be back here doing this same thing, debating now for years. Are they in schism? Are they not? It's like a never-ending conversation that I had hoped would be put to bed. We can all just move forward. Let's call greater unity in the church instead of more division. And it feels like this move, it just feels like the wrong move, even if you're not on the team SSPX. It feels like you could solve this if you really, really wanted to. Oh, you guys want a bishop? No problem. I got a few lying around doing nothing. Burke, what's he doing these days? Strickland, I got a guy. No problem. Let's just have the debate on the issues that you don't like. Let's work that out, and everybody's a winner here. It feels like it's solvable, but it also feels like they don't want to solve it, and that should tell you everything you need to know. iCatholicMobile.com. You should check them out. David, John, God love you. iCatholicMobile.com. My family benefits from them. Yours could too. They're a great sponsor of what we do here at this station across Catholic Media Network. You got a mobile phone, why not make yours Catholic? Trad Catholic too. iCatholicMobile.com. Jason Jones is back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Unbelievers often reject religion because it sometimes causes conflict. They'll say, science will fly you to the moon, religion will fly you into buildings. Is this a rational basis for rejecting religion? The answer is no, and here's the reason. First, just because something causes conflict doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. For example, many wars have been fought over land. Does this mean we should do away with the right to private property? I don't think so. Second, the objection doesn't specify which religions cause war. It may belong to the essence of some religions to spread its message by the sword, and these we should reject, but it doesn't belong to all religions. So, to the question, should I reject religion because it causes conflict? The answer is no. I'm Carlo Broussard with the ready reason for Catholic Answers, Catholic.com.
The Station of the Cross began broadcasting in Buffalo, New York in 1999. Since then, our listening areas have multiplied and expanded into several states. While our mission is to grow the Catholic faith through radio and other media outlets, our apostolate is supportive of but independent from your local diocese. Through your generosity, we are able to inspire countless listeners with the gospel and help lead them to a parish to be spiritually nourished by the sacraments.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. We're going to go back to the SSPX Pope Leo story in the after show at the top of the hour. Stick around for that. But could we be turning a corner in the Trump admin? I want you to have a listen to this clip. Is Donald Trump finally waking up? Let's just have a listen.
tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long, and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you.
I'm going to link to this clip in the show notes for you, as well as a bunch of other links like SaveWestBankChristians.com. SaveWestBankChristians.com. Make sure you bookmark that. But joining us from the Vulnerable People Project is our good friend of the show, Jason Jones. Jason, good afternoon. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, John McClane.
And did you get a one-on-one with Donald Trump? Is he starting to pay attention to the details here?
You know, it's unbelievable. This is the guy that was running for president. You know, what really moved me was during the campaign, President Trump, when he expressed his horror at the wars in Ukraine and in Gaza, talked about the Ukrainian and Russian young youth that are dying, the Israeli and Palestinian youth that were dying. I've never heard an American president express empathy for the adversaries in a conflict the way that President Trump did when he was running. And, you know, I've been quite frustrated, obviously, the past, since practically since he raised his right hand this time. But this is the guy that I actually, not in my capacity at the Vulnerable People Project, I took a little leave and I went to Pennsylvania and I campaigned for him to the Middle Eastern Christian community because of his commitment to peace in the Middle East and his thoughtfulness to the civilian casualties. And, maybe it was his, he has relatives that are Lebanese, in-laws that are Lebanese. But it's a sudden and stark return to the Trump that we knew. And to see John Podhoretz just was basically crying on a YouTube show the other day because he was just so upset that boots on the ground. He admitted, he goes, we'll need boots on the ground and Americans are going to die. But Trump's a chicken. This guy, John Podhoretz, is like the effeminate, weak man you've ever seen who's never been punched in the face or missed a meal. And he's going to talk about courage, about sending other people's children off to die for a war that offers this country zero benefit isn't somehow a sign of cowardice. Really, really, the neocons are really showing their hands.
I want to know what you think about the deal that Trump did make to try to bring an end to the hostilities in Iran, because Israel has already said, Israel Katz, their minister there, he said, we're not part of the deal. We're not giving up an inch of land, and whether it's in Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, or anywhere else, we're keeping it. They're leveling homes and villages. They don't care. They seem to not care about whatever Trump does or doesn't do.
Yeah, they should care. I think thoughtful people in Israel are concerned that they've lost the world, that their place in the world is going to become increasingly more difficult. They're going to have to learn how to be a good neighbor. They can't raid, plunder, rape, and steal. They're not going to be able to continue to raid, plunder, rape, and steal the way they have been, whether it be Palestinians, whether it be in Syria, whether it be in Lebanon, that those days are coming to an end. Whether it's this election cycle, this presidential election cycle, or the one coming after it. I mean, if you just look at the polls around the world from Beijing to Boston, it's the youth of the world have seen this genocide live streamed, and they've had enough of it.
Okay, so where does this leave us in the Iran deal? Because if Israel's not on the team and they decide, you know what, we're going to bomb them again, we're going to throw a missile down in an apartment building in some town in Israel, in Iran or whatever, are they going to drag America back in? Is Donald Trump smarter than that? Has he moved on? Or are we so committed that we have to go to war with them whenever Israel wants?
It's hard to say because Trump has been all over the place on this.
Yeah,
but Israel is definitely going to try to sabotage the deal. I mean, I have the rap sheet, Israel's rap sheet here of breaking ceasefire agreements. But on the 14th, they strike on, the strike on Beirut landed on the very same day that we announced our agreement with Iran. On June 16th, they escalated and tried to break the deal. This is something that's been continuous. The Vatican's own, the Apostolic Nuncio, Archbishop Paulo, was stopped by Israeli tanks while trying to bring humanitarian aid to Christian villages in Lebanon. They're erasing Christian villages, starving Christians, and we still have Catholics that are apologizing for the crimes of the state of Israel, which to me is absurd. Just 3 weeks ago, I think we talked about it when it happened. The former head of the Mossad, up until 2017, a retired special forces officer before he led Mossad, said he was ashamed at the behavior of the state of Israel in the settlements and in Gaza. The President Herzog himself of Israel said that the behavior of the settlers is undermining Israel's moral culture and the fiber of the country. And well, I wish that that it was limited to a small group of settlers. You know, that's a nice thought, but the reality is that this, in the wake of October 7th, which is completely understandable, you know, as human beings, we're seeing a country that has gotten swept away. And there's been relentless brutality to the Palestinians since 1948. But since October 7th, it's become unspeakably horrible, and the world has witnessed it without a filter. Imagine if there wasn't social media right now.
Right. Yeah, we wouldn't know any of it.
Boomers watching Fox going, Israel has the right to defend itself, you know? But meanwhile...
Well, statistically, that's who's left, right? It's the boomer generation, the boomer conservatives who are still very favorable towards Israel and whatever they want. I think the rest of the statistics seems to indicate that Israel's losing favor in public opinion in a massive way right now. They're hemorrhaging public opinion across all other demographics except for the boomer generation. And is Israel the one contingent within the Middle East who stands to gain the most benefit of keeping the region always on the brink of war? You know, it feels like they always want to be at war.
Yeah, I wrote a Substack saying this week, and people said, you know, it was hyperbole. I'm like, yeah, I wish, I hope, but it was they won't be happy until there's World War III. What won't they be happy with? I mean, Podhorst was saying, he's saying openly, these neocons are saying openly, yes, it's going to take boots on the ground. By the way, Trump never signed up for boots on the ground. They lied to Trump, and he needs to come out and say that now. I was lied to. I should have listened to Tulsi Gabbard. I should have listened to Joe Kent. Tulsi testified under oath that that she presented the intelligence community's best assessment. There was no viable nuclear weapons program, and they wouldn't have rockets to be able to hit us with tactical. With conventional weapons until 2035. Trump was lied to. He believed the wrong people. It's quite frustrating that you have heroes like Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent in your ear on the one hand, and then these creepy little slithering creatures, these neocon wraiths in his other. He's listening to Mark Levin instead of Tulsi Gabbard. To me, was bizarre. But I hope, you know, he needs to come out and say, look, I was lied to. I was deceived. They said this was going to be quick. This was going to be easy. I've been blocked by a lot of my friends on social media, but I watched as their confidence was beginning to wane. It was going to be a day. It was 2 days. It was 4 days. There'll never be boots on the ground. Now they're saying Trump is a chicken because he wasn't willing to finish the job, and the job required boots on the ground. They knew that from day one. But let me tell you what, boots on the ground wouldn't finish the job. It would be a bloodbath. It would be catastrophic. And the American people don't have the will for that. So even if they attempted it, it would be like Afghanistan. We would see the return. You know, we saw the return of the Taliban after 20 years of blood and treasure.
Yeah,
our greatest treasure is the
they patiently waited us out, and now they have our Humvees, our helicopters, our uniforms, our weapons. They have all of it there. So you're welcome, taxpayer provided. Okay, so how do we respond to the critic that might say, hold on, Israel's been attacked by the Hezbollah. Israel's been attacked by Hamas. They are terrorists. They are hurting them. Don't they have a right to defend themselves? Don't they have a right to create buffer zones in order to protect their interest in their people? So this is why they're not going to give back any land that they've taken from Lebanon or Syria or the West Bank. What would we say to that?
Oh, yeah. It has nothing to do with the Greater Israel Project, which they openly talk about. You know, this only makes sense. Now, I'm talking to members of our audience, my fellow Catholics. You go to daily mass. Look, you're a bigot. If this is your argument, you are a bigot. You have a scale, and you have Israeli lives here and Palestinian lives here. You don't care if they're Muslim. You don't care if they're Christian. And you have them on a scale. when, President Trump himself said it. They sent 2 rockets into the desert that didn't kill anyone, and then you respond by killing a whole neighborhood of civilians. This is what the state of Israel did, and President Trump himself called it out. If you want, there have been, since the ceasefire, there have been 3,526 killed civilians in Lebanon, 10,000 wounded, entire Christian villages wiped off the map. So if you're still like, well, Israel has a right to defend itself, Syria doesn't, Lebanon doesn't, the Palestinians don't, Iran doesn't, does only Israel have a right to defend itself? Does everyone have a right to defend themselves? And do the laws of war, the rules of war apply to Israel? And I would say yes. I just did a podcast with the great John Kiriakou. And John is a hero. He was a real hero in the war on terror. And then he went to prison because he was a whistleblower for the Advanced Interrogation / Torture Program. And we were talking about this. It's interesting that John gets less criticism for being a whistleblower on our torture program than he does for criticizing the state of Israel for raping Palestinian prisoners, which is what they do. People don't hear about it. It's documented. It's systematic sexual violence against Palestinians. And so if you're not computing this, you need to. I am so blessed to be Catholic. How can I be a bigot when I'm Catholic? When I go to adoration and I'm surrounded, I've got a Nigerian praying next to me, a Mexican sister praying next to me. We're surrounded by diversity. If one faith should be inoculated to bigotry, it should be Catholicism. Obviously because of our theology says we should even love those who persecute us. We have no other. But beyond our theology, it's our community. These are Catholics that are being turned into pink mist by American weapon systems in the hands of the state of Israel. And then there are those Christian Zionists who are just yawning at the deaths of Palestinians or Lebanese. It's really unimaginable to me. It's hard. And I hear René Girard's voice all of the time. The great Catholic anthropologist says, when enthusiasms of violence take over a community, all people say the same thing. I thought we were different. And I thought we as Americans were different. I thought as Christians we were different. But I really, really thought that as Catholics we were different. But I can still see prominent, not to bring up age. I always say these boomers, Dad, I was talking with my dad about this. He said, hey, I'm a boomer. I'm against the genocide. I'm like, I know, Pop. But it sadly is these boomers that are being spoon-fed slop from Fox News, and they can't apply their own discernment. Yeah, do I agree with Fox on 90% of what they say? Yeah, but it's the 10% that kills you.
It sure does, doesn't it?
You have to be discerning. If I watch cable news, which I don't, but if I do, when I do, I watch MSNBC or CNN. Why? Because they're not trying to manipulate me. So I can I'm on the side of the manipulation of the targeted propaganda. But when I watch Fox News, they've got my number. They know how to pick the lock of my heart. So I'm not going to let them. And I think the sorrowful thing is so many good and decent and beautiful Catholics have been swept away, have been silenced at opening their mouth for the Christians in Bethlehem, in Taiba, which was set on fire again this week. The Christian village of Taiba set on fire by settlers.
We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back. I want to talk about that. SaveWestBankChristians.com. SaveWestBankChristians.com. I want you to bookmark that. I want you to go there. I want you to share with your friends, because we're not doing enough to stand up for the Christians in the Middle East. Because let's be honest, they want to push them out. They don't want them there. They want them gone. And if they can get their way, they will be gone. And it will be too late to do anything about it. We're going to talk more about that in 2 minutes from now with Jason Jones from the Vulnerable People Project. Do us a favor, though. Share us with a friend. More ACT is headed your way in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
The Catholic Current, bringing Christ to the world and the world to Christ.
I think we have to go into prayer knowing that we're being contested for.
Oh, yes. If we didn't have guardian angels guarding us, we would be suckers and losers infallibly to immensely superior forces. The devil's terrified of prayer.
The Catholic Current, 5 p.m. Eastern, from the Station of the Cross and on the iCatholic Radio mobile app.
At the Station of the Cross, we understand that life circumstances can affect your giving options, whether by moving or by switching banks and credit card numbers. Please let us know if recent changes have been made to your payment information so that we can better serve you as you continue to bless us with your financial support. Update your information today at thestationofthecross.com or by calling 1-877-888-6279, extension 104.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have, as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
30 seconds on the gifts of the Holy Spirit, brought to you by the Station of the Cross. The Catechism of the Catholic Church speaks of wisdom as a spiritual gift which enables one to know the purpose and plan of God. Is my vocation marriage or religious life? Should I continue in my long-standing job or try something new? The gift of wisdom will aid you in discerning God's holy will for your life.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. And I need to tell you about our good friend of the show, CatholicMatch.com, sponsor of what we do here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network and my YouTube channel, A Catholic Take. So thank you, CatholicMatch.com, for that. As a dad who's got kids who are discerning, I want them to cut through the fat, to get through the noise of people and their drama and relationships, because they got to find a spouse who loves God more than them. And the CatholicMatch.com is a platform made by Catholics for Catholics. Free to download, free to create your profile, and you can weed through the hundreds of thousands of singles on there. Do you go to church? Which church do you go to? What mass do you go to? What do you believe about this, that, or the other thing? Like, you want to get to the truth of their belief and their practice, because marriage isn't just a good feeling. It's not a lifestyle choice. It is a sacrament, God's actual grace communicated. So you want to be discerning, and CatholicMatch.com wants you to as well. So we're very grateful for their sponsorship, and we encourage you to check them out, CatholicMatch.com. That's CatholicMatch.com. I'm going to put a link to that, plus this article, Save WestBankChristians.com. Save WestBankChristians.com. Jason Jones from the Vulnerable People Project joining us again. Jason, welcome back. So what's going on here with the Stand with West Bank Christians? What's the situation with them right now?
Well, before I get to the West Bank Christians, I want to look overall, because in the West Bank, we've seen the IDF and settlers attack the Christian community. But this is really a posture of the state of Israel. And just to demonstrate the posture of the state of Israel towards the institutional church, Cardinal Pizzaballa has personally requested that the Christian children with cancer in Gaza be allowed to leave for treatment. That has been refused. The children are not allowed to leave Gaza for treatment. Since Good Friday, we've seen Cardinal Pizzaballa denied entry into the Holy Sepulchre. We have seen a nuncio stopped at gunpoint with aid trucks, which is just absolutely unbelievable. And then my own team witnessed and documented what became an international story in the past couple of weeks. The IDF rolled into a Marian festival with drones, helicopters, armored vehicles, and it threw a stun grenade, ordering the people to stop the procession. So this is a posture of the state of Israel. And when people are ready to make excuses for the abuse of the state of Israel against a helpless, vulnerable, and dwindling Christian community. So that's what's happening now. But if you look just at the West Bank this week, in Taba, it was the only 100% Christian village left in the West Bank, was set on fire across 2 nights this week, 2 consecutive nights. And the firefighters were blocked by settlers and IDF soldiers from putting the fire out. And then the settlers advanced to Bethlehem and began to stone cars with the IDF protection. And people are going to make excuses for this. These are the descendants of the families that were in the upper room. And Joe, I want to thank you for having us on, because I, used to go on mainstream Catholic news organizations all of the time to talk about persecution of Christians. But when I began to speak about the state of Israel persecuting Christians, it's interesting that I was silenced and not invited back to address the abuse of Christians on things like EWTN News Nightly. And so this makes me wonder, with this, the head of EWTN now going to the Vatican, are we going to see the Vatican, at least in English, be silenced in advocating for the Christians in the Holy Land? I really hope not. I really hope not.
What happens? What happens when the last remaining Christian village is gone? What does the Holy Land look like then?
Oh, we'll yawn and move on. Look, we live in the Hunger Games, okay? This is where we all live right now. Let's just be honest. When something small or minor happens to us, like Starbucks doesn't say Merry Christmas to us on our, write Merry Christmas on our cup. We talk about it on our radio shows and we get mad. I get mad, you get mad, we all get mad. But when the oldest Christian community is bombed, their villages set on fire, their animals slaughtered, their children killed, raped, we yawn. And this is just really unbelievable to me. We saw in Artsakh, a Christian community that had been there for since the 3rd century, was ethnically cleansed 3 years ago, and most people don't even know about it. When during the Bush administration, not before Obama came into office, most of the Christians in Iraq had already been ethnically cleansed under the nose of the U.S. occupation. These are Christian communities that survived 750 years of the Ottoman Empire, survived the Armenian genocide, which obviously wasn't just Armenians, it was Greeks and Syrians and Chaldeans and Yazidis, But they survived this, but they couldn't survive 8 years of U.S. occupation. And we yawn.
So how do we save them? How do we save them? How do we make a difference in this? It feels like we're overwhelmed and outnumbered.
Oh, no, we can save them, but it's us. It's not them. And I always tell it to them, I'm sorry, you guys, there's nothing you can do to save yourself. You pick up a rock, you get shot in the head. You start a newspaper. We just saw, I should have mentioned this, we witnessed the IDF come in and arrest and kidnap a Palestinian Christian woman and a Palestinian American woman at a university in the West Bank. Disappeared for what? For activism, for speaking out against the abuses of the state of Israel. So they can't even open their mouth. And you're a Palestinian, you're an American citizen, don't even go over there and try to open your mouth. So what can we do? At SaveWestBankChristians.com, we are serious. We will preserve the oldest Christian community in the world. The first thing is we have to stop the settlement in Shtema. Go to SaveWestBankChristians.com. We have done a good job, and thanks to you, Joe, and our other friends, this issue is rising to the top. By the next presidential election, this is going to be an issue in the primaries for both Republicans and Democrats. That I can't imagine anyone's going to get the nomination that supported the hell in Gaza or supports the ethnic cleansing of Christians in the West Bank. We need to make this a national issue in the election. We need prospective candidates to speak out against the ethnic cleansing of Christians in Gaza. Also in what's happening in India and the West Bank, of course, too. But we need to prioritize the persecuted church because we are one body. Where they suffer, we suffer. Where we can speak out for them and they can't even defend themselves, we should. So if we stop the settlement in Shtema, we stop the violence in Taiba, we can really roll back the settlements outside of Taiba, and we need to stop new settlements outside of the Christian communities, and they need to be rolled back. They're illegal. The U.S. State Department has said it over multiple administrations. President Trump has been adamant that these illegal settlements with their terrorist settlers need to stop. And so we're in a real position of victory. But if we need to pancake those Christian Catholic influencers that are running, that are either advocating for the abuse of our co-religionists or are running interference. And there's a lot of that where they try to distract whenever you try to bring attention to the plight of Christians in the West Bank. They'll say, well, what about Nigeria? What about Chad? Yeah, I work in Nigeria. I work in Chad. I work in India. We can advocate for the persecuted church around the world. My question is, why not the Christians in the West Bank? And it's easier to restrain a state actor that's persecuting Christians than it is. It's very challenging when these are stateless organizations persecuting you.
Right. Right.
But when you have a state that receives a lot of its funding from the United States, directly involved in funding terrorist organizations, which we now know that the state of Israel funds the settler group, the youth group that is setting Taiba on fire every other week, is funded by the state of Israel. So if we cannot stop that, what can we stop? And
why don't we just stop giving them money? Why does the United States cut them off until they get in line?
Yeah, get in line. It's shameful to me.
It is incredibly shameful. God bless us. We need to wake up. Save WestBankChristians.com. Jason Jones, God bless you. God love you. Love to have you back soon. So thank you for being on. I do appreciate all you do at the Vulnerable People Project. You and your team are amazing. I can't be on the front lines, but they are. It's a great way to be there too by supporting them. And I would encourage you to do that at SaveWestBankChristians.com. SaveWestBankChristians.com. God bless you. God love you, Jason Jones. Hey, we're going to go to a 2-minute break. On the radio side, you're going to move on. But on the video side, I stay on the live video feed for the after show. You can find us and hang out and be a part of the conversation at thestationofthecross.com/ACT or joemcclane.com. God love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow. So what did you think of today's show? Let's discuss that right now in the after show. Your take on the after take. Comment, interact live with me and the team. All you need to do is search for one of our live video feeds on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, LinkedIn, and elsewhere. Simply search for the Station of the Cross, Joe McClane, or A Catholic Take. I'm looking forward to seeing you and interacting with you directly. It all starts right now. It's the after show.
Welcome back to the after show.
Welcome back. How's it going?
I saw the grin come across your face when I said welcome back. You were just ready for that.
I was waiting for it. Woohoo! Hey, Gabriel, God bless you. Thank you for your super chat. That was very nice of you. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Hey, Catholic Martyrs, R.I.P. Praise be to Jesus. Thank you for being a member of the channel. Trad Kansan is here. We also appreciate you. God bless you. Cigar Mode, welcome back. Our Kitchen 1967. The Muslim Palestinians drove out the Christians. Many have moved to Israel. Let's see. Who else? Brian is here. Welcome back. Or no, it's Brian K5378. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out. YGZ8MG. Bridget Dunn is back. How many times do the SSPX have to ask for a meeting? Apparently they can ask until they're red in the face and it really won't matter. That seems to be the interpretation. CNU 10, helping Christians in the Middle East starts with the Pope. He could certainly do it. He's got to want to, though. Prodigal Son, God bless you. Thank you for being on the team. I appreciate you being a member of the channel. It means a lot to me. God bless you for it. White Wolf is back. Wars are a punishment for sin. If we stop sinning, especially against holy purity, peace will break out everywhere. Well said. Well said. Well said. We'll see here. We'll see. I'm just going through the comments here. T-Storm is back. Good afternoon. Nicholas Williams. I don't get why Jason doesn't get more support from Catholics in the pews. To my knowledge, he's not a rad trad or anything. He's a faithful Catholic calling out atrocity. That's exactly right. That's because the majority of Catholics are pro-Zionists. That's the reality. I guarantee I'm probably going to get some hate mail. My boss does such a wonderful job trying to insulate as much as he can from the haters that hate every time I talk about this subject. But I've had people apply tremendous pressure in order to get me fired just because I talk about this. My boss is amazing. God love him. And he's done a great justice to me by giving me the support I need. The EW10 prefectessa. I got to look that one up. Is that a Gen Z term? Is that like chugmaxing? What was that? Prefectura?
I got nothing there.
Prefectessa has no authority to tell us we're wrong for calling out this persecution.
By the way, I'm just guessing, but I've never heard of him anywhere outside of Joe's show. You talking about Jason Jones? Jason Jones is a fantastic human being. He is a great man of mystery, Jason Jones. Honestly. His story is amazing. You know, he when he was a teenager, had a baby out of wedlock, but the mother was encouraged by her father to have an abortion. That put him on this wild path to pro-life, conversion to the Catholic faith. He works in Hollywood. He's a movie producer. He's produced several movie-to-movement.org films. Cabrini was one of them. Little Boy's another. And just a great man. He's one of the most connected guys I know, bar none. Like he's just such an incredible guy. Vulnerable People Project. He campaigned for politicians. Pretty amazing, actually. Honestly, just a great guy. And despite all the connections he has around planet Earth, he still will speak out boldly and truthfully, that knowing it's going to get him in trouble. Like I wanted to ask him, I didn't get the chance to. Could he ever possibly even go to the Holy Land at this point? Because he probably gets, Edward Clancy got stopped and interrogated at the airport in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. How much more Jason Jones? Could I ever make it to the Holy Land ever? Probably not, honestly. I don't think I'd get permission to enter their country at this point, because they're just going to do a Google search and realize I've talked about this issue, and they're going to be like, nope, you can't come in. It would surprise me to no end if I could ever go there. Hey, Philip, welcome back. Praise be to Jesus. Hello from Vancouver, says Michael. Good afternoon. Praise be to God. Says, here's to a repeat to the 1988 for the SSPX and at least 50-year delay of the SSPX church relations. I know. 50, it's like, good grief. Am I the only one that, do you guys feel like this is solvable? The whole issue is imminently solvable, is it not? I feel like this is solvable. It's just mind-boggling to me that we haven't been able to solve this. I want to read to you this post from Mark Lampert on the SSPX issue, because I thought it was very, very good. And all of this was in relation to Pope Leo's comments that he made publicly. Mark says, the genuinely interesting section is the good paragraph, and that was about this document right here that he's referring to. But I think you'll see it here in a minute. The paragraph in this Vatican letter to the SSPX from February this year. So this is Cardinal Fernandez sent a letter to the fraternity, to the Society of St. Pius X back in February. Fernandez explicitly acknowledges that there are unresolved doctrinal questions and purposes a structured theological dialogue. And, okay, so let me read that again just to make sure it read clearly. Fernandez explicitly acknowledges that there are unresolved doctrinal questions. Good grief, cannot read today. Fernandez explicitly acknowledges that there are unresolved doctrinal questions and proposes a structured theological dialogue. Okay, so let's have a listen to the Pope again. Certainly, we have invited. I'm still considering making another appeal to say, don't do this. Let's try to live the communion of the church. But it is their choice. It is necessary to take into account what it means for them and for the church. Certainly, the division among Christians is always a sore point, but they refuse to accept certain fundamental elements of the church, and beginning with several points of the Second Vatican Council. So again, I go back to Mark's letter here. So Pope Leo seems to suggest that you have to accept all of the Vatican II, bar none, no questions asked, no debate, no conversation, then how does that jive with Fernandez explicitly acknowledges that there are unresolved doctrinal questions and proposes a structured theological dialogue? Something ain't the same here. Something ain't adding up. Something's not the same. Which is it? Accept all of it, no matter what? Or is it, yeah, we acknowledge that there are issues and we should debate those things? Do you see there's a super contradiction of terms there? Hey, Mel T 1958, God bless you. Thank you. That was very generous. That was a very generous super chat. I do appreciate that. God bless you. Thank you for it. He goes on, Mark goes on. He specifically mentions the difference between an act of faith and religious submission of mind and will, and the different degrees of adherence required by the various texts of Vatican II and their interpretation. That is extraordinary language. For decades, one of the SSPX's central complaints has been that Rome demanded acceptance of Vatican II without adequately distinguishing between dogmatic definitions and authoritative but reformable teachings, prudential judgments, and pastoral directives. Are there any dogmatic definitions in Vatican II? Producer James, do me a favor, Google that. Dogmatic definitions of Vatican II. See what we come up with. This DDF communique from Cardinal Fernandez appears to concede precisely that point. Notice what Fernandez does not say. He does not say, you must accept every statement of Vatican II as irreformable dogma. Nor does he say, all questions regarding the council have already been settled. Instead, he proposes discussing what level of assent particular conciliar texts require, how Vatican II should be interpreted, which teachings require divine and Catholic faith, which require religious submission of intellect and will, which questions remain open to theological discussion. That is a very different tone from some earlier phases of the SSPX negotiations. Even more remarkable is the phrase, minimum requirements necessary for full communion with the Catholic Church. The language immediately raises the question, if Rome is willing to identify minimum doctrinal conditions for communion, then Rome is implicitly acknowledging that not every disputed interpretation of Vatican II belongs to those minimum conditions. In other words, the DDF appears willingly to distinguish between essential matters necessary for communion and questions on which theological debate remains possible. That sounds much closer to the Benedict XVI's approach than many expected from Cardinal Fernandez. The obvious question then becomes, why did the SSPX reject it? And honestly, it's one of my issues. It's one of my issues with this whole deal. I feel like there was an opportunity that would have been a benefit for the entirety of the church. But because it didn't meet the personal needs of the society, they passed on it. And I feel like that's a loss for all of us. And I don't even go to the society, and I don't plan to.
I've got your answer here, Joe, if you're ready for it.
What's the answer? What's the answer?
According to Google, the Second Vatican Council did not define any new dogmas or issue condemnations. Instead of producing infallible dogmatic decrees, the Council explicitly took a pastoral approach aimed at renewing the Church and re-engaging with the modern world.
So there's that. Not one single dogmatic, proclamation in Vatican II. So what exactly are we rejecting and not? If it's all just pastoral, then it can come and go. It can change. It can be tweaked. So what are we discussing then? If there are no dogmatic issues that came proclaimed out of Vatican II, and the society has issues with Vatican II that's all pastoral, and they're willing to debate that, what are we even talking? I go back to my original question then. Do you also feel like this is solvable? I feel like this is solvable. Unlike, say, the Zionists who are trying to attack and destroy Christianity in the Holy Land, and the Greater Israel Project that's happy to take the land of its neighbors and never give it back. I feel like this issue is definitely solvable. Do you feel that way? Let me know in the comments. Hallow 334. Praise be to God. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us. iCatholic Mobile says, we don't believe there were any dogmatic or doctrinal issues. It was supposed to be pastoral, which is silly. Philip says, everyone should read the website of Institute for the Good Shepherd. Trad Kansan says, they know full well Rome will not heed without conceding a Vatican II. So my take, my position, what I wanted to see does not hinge on whether or not Rome ever concedes anything. It's really beside the point almost. Just because Rome is not going to concede to not going to say, okay, you're right, we're wrong. They're never going to do that. I concede that point to you. But that's not why they should have the conversation. They should postpone these consecrations for 6 months. Nothing is lost in that. 6 months. They could have said, all right, we're going to pause those consecrations. We'll take the debate. Even if Rome never, ever says, you're right, we're wrong, it's a massive, massive opportunity. Think of how many Novus Ordo going suburban Catholics, the Church of Saint What's Happening Now, Father Go Along to Get Along. If this debate happens in a public opportunity, if people like me and many of the other talking head podcasters or whatever, EWTN even, because it makes the news, covers it, think of how many ordinary Novus Ordo going, suburban going Catholics at the Church of Saint What's Happening Now and Father Go Along to Get Along are going to have seeds planted in their mind about what the actual issues are. Because I guarantee 99.9% of Catholics on planet Earth do not know what issues the society has with Vatican II. They don't. It's the smallest fraction of Catholics on planet Earth who know at all what that list even is, let alone the actual issues related to it. So by having a big public debate, and frankly, they could make it public, so they get into the discussion there, and then they could publish the results. Talking heads could then cover it. And if somehow the deal was secret, it had to be behind closed doors, perhaps it gets leaked to the press and people like me and others talk about it, because we will. My point is it could get out there, it could be public, it could go viral. And then all of a sudden, a much bigger swath of the Catholic Church is now educated to the actual issues of Vatican II that need to be discussed and should be discussed, as Cardinal Fernandez even agrees and should be discussed. So if they pause consecrations for 6 months or whatever, just say, we're pausing them, let's have the debate. Then they have the debate, and Rome doesn't concede any of the points. Nothing has changed except for now it's a public conversation at a much bigger scale. And now the actual issues are being discussed at a much bigger scale, and they don't get anywhere with it. Go back and consecrate, because you're going to do it anyway. You were always going to do it anyway. Nothing was ever going to stop you anyway. So nothing is lost. Wait the 6 months. But Joe, the bishops are getting older by the day. Of course they are. But 6 months ain't going to stop anything. 6 months ain't going to change the outcome. They could have waited 6 months. But now they're not. Now there's going to be no debate. Now that offer is off the table. They're going to consecrate July 1st. They're going to get their bishops. But we're going to be debating this for another 20 years. And I believe firmly that it is solvable. You need bishops? I got guys to hand to you. No problem. Let's do a little bit of deal here. Let's have the debate. Let's talk about it. And we've got some. Who do you want? Give us a list. Oh, okay. Probably not that one. Probably not. This one, maybe. But you know how to tell it. Would you take a Bishop Strickland? How about the bishop that got retired out of Puerto Rico? He's not doing anything these days. We fired him because he liked the TLM and wouldn't lock the place down during COVID. Oh, he's got time. How about I give him to you? Would that be all right with you? Cardinal Burke, he's getting really old, but you can squeeze some life out of him still. Come on now. You might even get Cardinal Zen to confirm one or two of your people. Who knows? Or even, ordain a man or two. My point is, where there's a will, there's a way. And even if you're not going to get 100% of what you're after in the deal, there was still a bigger, higher road that I think they needed to consider, other than their own personal immediate needs. Because now, 20 more years until some other pope comes along, like a Benedict, and lifts that excommunication, they're going to have to live with that title. And excommunication is not something to be toyed with. Serious implications. The power of binding and loosing. God knew that Judases would be in every generation. There would always be wolves in sheep's clothing. He said this. And still he gave power to these men. He gave power to me to make or break my family. God knows I'm a dirtbag. I'm a scumbag. And still he gave me power over my wife and my children and my home. Like, golly gee whiz, that's way too much authority and power for one knucklehead. And still it's the way it goes. So, I don't know. The whole thing is no bueno. Pat Garrigan says, without the SPX and SSPX and bishops, there will not be any Latin Mass communities to attend. They are providing a safety net. That's not true. I go to a Latin Mass community. We go to TLM full time all the time. So that is, maybe it was true in '88. It certainly isn't true today. There are other Latin Mass communities that are growing and are available. So I don't think that's your best argument for the SSPX. You could probably come up with better ones or other ones, but that's probably not the one I would go with. Hallow says, Vatican is making mountains out of molehills when it comes to tradition. Catholic Martyrs RIP. When you go after what gave the church her greatest saints, you perform a direct attack against God. Remember that after Vatican II, a Mason created the Novus Ordo and a Pope kissed the Quran. It's rough, isn't it? Yes, sir, yes. And let's not forget, I talked about this just yesterday. You got the Archbishop of Detroit, who doesn't like the traditional Latin Mass because he punished the TLM community in his diocese. Went and visited a mosque, and he had the most insane things to say about, so glad, so sacred. I feel so wonderful here. And, my only prayer is that, we're all just growing closer to God and blah, 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 blah. It's like you clearly don't believe. You clearly do not believe, let alone accept all of Vatican II, which you don't do because you're punishing trads in your parish, in your diocese. And yet they're trying to keep Gregorian chant alive, the altar rails. They're trying to keep, Latin as a part of the Mass alive, as Vatican II suggested in Sacrosanctum Concilium or whatever it was. So is he going to get the excommunication threat? Is he going to be, shown the door of communion, because he doesn't accept fully Vatican II? What about those bishops in Germany that want to ordain women and bless homosexual couples and destroy the liturgy into something that's irrecognizable? Are they going to get the excommunication treatment? So far, no, that's not the case. Not the case. Why is that? They actually planned for Pope Francis, just never went public. I don't doubt that for 1 second. They were waiting to see, and I think it was prudent for them to do so. 6 months won't change the outcomes, but it would give us an opportunity at a huge public conversation that needs to happen. C. Newton says, we didn't go to the moon. 1984 Dodge Colt Turbo is the greatest ever. Ranch beats blue cheese. Aliens aren't real. Father Go Along to get along as a heretic.
Oh, boy.
Tell me he's not right. I mean, yes or yes. Except the one thing he's wrong upon, of course, is we did go to the moon. And the second thing he's wrong upon is honey mustard always beats blue cheese and ranch. I'm just saying it's just the facts of life. It's like gravity. I don't shoot the messenger. It is just what it is. Ruby's 200, God bless you. Wouldn't an example of father go along to get along be Bishop Barron, says Catholic Martyrs R.I.P.? Woo! That left a mark. Chesterton's jest. Perhaps this is how the bride of Christ follows her groom to the cross, a spiritually separated, dismembered body. And this is only the beginning, as the FSSP will follow. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see if the FSSP follows. I don't know. I am not sold that that's true. But we'll see. It's possible. That's for sure. Bonds, oh boy. If not the SSPX and Lefebvre, who is heroic in standing up against the nonsense at Vatican II? I'm not a SSPX. Have I not stood up against it? So it kind of reminds me of the prophet Elijah after calling down fire upon those pagan prophets, and then ended up running into a cave. Woe is me! Woe is me! And then what the Lord say to him? You think you're the only one? Huh. You're not the only one. There are a lot. I have others. I feel the same way in this argument. I felt that same way when it came to Gary Voris at Church Militant. If I had $1 for every time he would say, we're the only ones talking the truth. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. Where the hell have you been? Raymond Arroyo has been doing this for years. Edward Penton has been doing this for years. And they work for EWTN, for crying out loud. Okay, Johnny come lately. Yeah, you're talking about big news and issues that need to be discussed, but you're not the only one. I felt that way about him. It's like, listen, there's a lot you can't take away from the society. I would agree. Lefebvre in particular. But to say you're the only one, I can't see it. I don't see it. It's just not true. There are lots of people who are speaking out against the nonsense in Vatican II. Our Kitchen 1967, the Pope's choices for bishops have been really radical. Yeah, you're not wrong. You are right. I agree. This is a problem. I've had so much emotional roller coaster over Pope Leo since his election. My first reaction was like, there's no way this is a good thing. I did it on a live stream. My first reaction when they announced him and he came out of the loggia, I was like, this is bad. This is a bad thing. There's no way this is a good thing. And then I immediately got very confused because you had Jimmy Martin praising him and Cardinal Burke. And I'm like, no, you can't have it both ways. Stop it. One or the other, never both. Never both. Catholic Martyrs RIP says, thank you, Joe and James. We love and pray for you. Well, God bless you, Catholic Martyrs. You are amazing. Thank you. I've gone through so many emotional roller coaster rides with Pope Leo so far. It's like there was a time where I'm like, maybe, he's doing some sane things, bringing some Latin back, and and wearing the thing he's supposed to wear, and being calm and not crazy like Francis. He's encouraging friendliness towards Traz. Is that good enough? So, my emotions have been really messed with over this pontificate so far. But let's talk about the details, to your point. How are the bishops? How are the bishops' appointments? Has he been appointing stalwart, orthodox, solid men? Marco Rupnik, has he been tried yet? Nope. That doesn't mean he has done everything bad. There's some things he's done that are good, and I try to call those out when I see them, but there's a lot of question marks here. And he's spoken relentlessly about doubling down on the Francis pontificate and the synod and synodality. And in fact, we're seeing yet another change to the consistory. Now, apparently, they are not going to be touching the just war theory. Don Montaigne reported this earlier today. But they are going to be talking about the implementation of the synod on synodality. You know what? The greatest things that Leo could do, and Leo does not have to be a trad. If Leo just comes out and says, listen, I'm not going to really talk about the synod and synodality anymore. That was a Pope Francis thing. God rest his soul. Praying for him. But we're all going to kind of move on. And then if he gave us great bishops instead of these lukewarm, milquetoast, go along to get along, on the team type of appointments, then I think we could all have hope that perhaps, at the very least, he's just more sane and sober. But maybe he'll do amazing, something great. But I'm not sure. I just don't think I buy that anymore. I want to give him the best benefit of the doubt, but there's just too many things he could be doing different, and he doesn't. Hey, Bob Tio 813. Most won't admit that the Vatican is now an entity that is not holy. The infiltration by other entities which are evil, and because of the Vatican's money. Remember, I lost it. It was right there. I remember Cardinal George Pell. I don't think this is new, though, Bob Tio. I don't think there's anything new about what we're seeing coming out of the Vatican these last 60 years. I believe this has always been the trick and the strategy of the evil one. I mean, if I were the devil, would I not try to corrupt the church from within? Knowing that the devil tried this, he possessed Judas. Judas was possessed. So it was always the strategy to attack Holy Mother Church in a frontal approach. It's a straight on, go for the drawbridge, pound the door down, take her from within. That's always been the battle. So this isn't new. The Book of Gomorrah. Go look up the Book of Gomorrah. The Lavender Mafia has been reigning for a very long time in Holy Mother Church. There's always been wheat and weeds, wolves in sheep's clothing. That will always be the case until the second coming, always. And perhaps, I don't know, but just maybe in my novel that's coming out hopefully soon. Why is this not working? All of a sudden, this doesn't work. It's stuck. I've got a book coming out, but for whatever reason, there it goes. That's weird. And He is Coming, The Rise of the Antichrist may or may not contain similar themes. I'm just saying. It may or may not. We'll have to see. Hopefully it's out soon. Leo just appointed a former illegal as the bishop here in West Virginia. R. Kitchen, 1967. I do not believe that was by mistake. I believe that's intentional. In Jermaine, welcome back. Following the Medjugorje live novena with the message from Our Lady, love and prayers to all, says in Jermaine. Philip says there is no evidence to date any other trad groups are in charge. Jumping the gun and family feuds do little to help. I do agree. Are in danger. I said in charge. Freudian slip on my part, maybe? I don't know. But Philip said in danger, and I would agree. There's no, let's be unified here. Let's be on the team. Let's unite the clans, as Michael Madden, the Remnant, loves to say. And that's why I like Michael. He was always like a glass half full trad. Always. And I love that about him. Alberta says, age makes such a difference. I confess hatred for Vatican II every time I go to confession to a priest who Vatican II is a part of history. Yeah, it sure is. I mean, the problem is now we all have knee-jerk reactions. We have PTSD and oh no, the bishops are getting together again. Oh no. Listen, the reality is the bishops should get together. It's definitely a part of the plan. They've had synods going back to the earliest days in the church. St. Athanasius, Contra Mundum, St. Athanasius against the world, participated in synods in the church. And it's been a part of the church since day one that these apostles sometimes don't get along. St. Paul and Barnabas decided to bail on each other in the Acts 16 and following in the second missionary journey. They got into a heated debate. They got into an argument. They split up and went different ways. It's always a part of the plan. So the fact that bishops get together and discuss issues, that should never be our problem. That is expected. That's part of the plan. But we're jaded now. We're like, oh, but every time you guys do, you say and do stupid things. Maybe it's better you never get together. I mean, I think we just have PTSD, and that's unfortunate because it's like the saying goes, we can never have nice things because. And that's where we're at. Cigar Mode, again, welcome back. God bless you. Catherine Hunter, 9780. Ugh, Zionism, horrible. Yep, I'm on the team. I'm on your side. Bob says, remember when Cardinal Zen was imprisoned? What did Vatican do? Nothing. Instead, they sent McCarrick to get a $10 billion. I mean, how much money did they actually get? Nobody ever knows, but all of us believe there was money involved. That's why they signed the deal, and that's why they continued to sign it. But we don't know that for sure because it's never been revealed or leaked, as far as I know. Hallow says, my gaydar was going off watching the new New York Archbishop celebrating the New York Knicks championship. What do you mean? You didn't like that? Why not? Do I have that video? I think I do, actually, somewhere. Somewhere I've got this video of. Oh, yeah, there it is. Look. Oh. Look at the look on his face.
Joe, we see black.
Oh, what is with that? Let's try this again. I'll start over. How about this? Let's pretend like okay, cut. Back to first positions and action. I think I got the video of the Archbishop in New York. Watch this.
I caught the Knicks fever. I caught the Knicks passion.
Cringe.
Like, do you get the sense like he spent way too much time in his parents' basement? Like, it feels a wee bit cringy. It just not what you want. And this is why to this day so many of people my age, not you youngins, but people my Gen Xers or above miss Father Karapi. They miss Father Karapi because he spoke like a man, like a man's man. And they really, really appreciated that contrast between this and bold proclamation.
I sat, I'll show it on this side, I sat with my number 11 jersey.
I just sat there. I lit a little candle and was like right there courtside just with my jersey, and it was just so great. I mean, all of those guys just running up and down it was just wow.
I watched every minute until victory. Way to go.
I'm not saying that he is of that persuasion. I'm saying it feels and sounds like he's of that persuasion. I mean, congratulations to the Knicks and all, but come. Some manliness on occasion would be nice. John Paul Sandoval says, spicy brown mustard is greater than holy honey mustard. Freudian slip. I was going to say holy honey mustard. So it's unfortunate that John Paul Sandoval has been eliminated from the group like that. That's just really tragic that he can never return his name to be stricken from the record, never to be uttered again. Blasphemy gets you there, sacrilege. It's just I'm just saying it out loud.
I agree that Joe is too good at the voice. By the way, Chesterton's just it's slightly concerning.
It's just the trick is in just got to work those S's.
No, you don't have to do anything. And please feel free to stop.
Are you saying it just comes so natural? I'm okay. Hey.
Big yikes.
Tread Kansan says, let's play it out hypothetically. SSPX delays. Tucho sends a dialogue letter. SSPX responds. There's 2 to 4 more letters. That's not how it would play out, though. No, none of this. We're going to go back and forth with letter stuff. We want what Galileo got. That's what we want. That's what they need to insist upon, you see. You see, this is a card that they can play to the benefit of Holy Mother Church. They've got to look past their own personal interests and desires just for a little bit. Pause your own needs. Pause them. Think about the greater church and the impact, even when nothing changes in the end. So say, nope, Tucho, sorry, we're not going to do the letter exchange. What we want to come in, sit down, and have the meeting. We want what Galileo had. We want what the heretic Martin Luther had. He had a debate. That's what we want. Oh, well, yeah, about that. Funny thing you say. Okay, well, I don't know how Tucho Fernandez would sound. He would have a thick a Spanish accent. Probably not from Spain, but so he wouldn't do his ethids. But anyway, Tucho would probably say, listen, we'd rather do the letter thing. Yeah, we're not going to do that. But we would love. I will pause the consecrations today, but we got to get together. All right? Let's sit down in the same room. Let's look at each other eye to eye like brothers, and let's have a candid conversation. Okay, fine, but it has to be behind closed doors and not public. Fair enough. Deal. We're there. And then somehow it gets leaked to the public. But where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And 6 months would not change anything of the outcome. They could still do what they were going to do anyway. No matter what, they were going to do it anyway. Why not leverage the opportunity for a greater good? That's my argument. I get that it's all for the church and that's just it, but it ain't going to move the needle in the suburban going Catholic. That's the problem. It's only going to move the needle for the SSPX. It won't move the needle for the suburban go along to get along parish. There's an opportunity here to plant a seed in at least some of their hearts. And I kind of feel like Abraham negotiating with the Lord, in Genesis before he goes and destroys Sodom and Gomorrah. It's like, but what about the 10? What about the 5? I mean, but for the sake of the 5, would you just give us a moment like that? That's kind of how I feel about this. Like they have an opportunity to leverage their circumstances that would plant the seed in thousands, tens of thousands, potentially, in their hearts and their minds to go, wait, hold on. Wait, I never even thought about Vatican II before. Now you're saying there's issues? Like what? Oh, wow, look at there's a list here. Wow. How do I feel about that? Yeah, you know what? The more you talk about it, it seems awfully weird that we're saying all religions are somehow equal now. That's kind of bizarre. Like they never spend any time thinking about this stuff, ever. It takes a black pilling to get them to even wake up at all. There's a huge black pill opportunity in this. And all they need to do is pause. And then when things don't go the way anyway or whatever, then they were gonna unpause anyway. It was just a matter of time. That's it. What is Father Carapi doing these days? Is he still a priest? Once a priest, always a priest, so he has the indelible mark, although he has been laicized by his order because Father Carapi would not obey. They asked him to come live in community, and he said no. So they laicized him. Judy says, Joe sounds like Batman lingo. Holy hot mustard Batman. Ooh. It would actually be holy honey mustard Batman, but okay. Yeah. Andre Fortin says, I also miss Father Carapi. I'll never forget the first time I saw Father Carapi in person, 2005. It was 2005, the Boston Men's Conference. And he showed up in black BDUs with his collar on. And he had a guy with a gun hanging out with him all day long. Because he was filming this and he made a big spectacle out of it. But man, he was a powerful, engaging speaker, and men loved him for it. They loved him when he spoke very manly. But as a guy who then professionally went on to plan and execute those large conferences, which I did for 5 years, I managed large, thousands and thousands of attendee conferences. And we worked directly with Father Carapi. He was a jerk to work with. I mean, unreasonably, unnecessarily. We created a monster in Father Karapi. That's the reality. So I take partial blame for the result of why Father Karapi is not here, because for me and for my part, we encouraged him because he put butts in the seats. Rather than call him to truth, the greater charity would have been to say, you know what, your behavior is out of line and out of question, and we will never work with you again until you correct yourself. But I didn't do that, so that's my fault. He put butts in the seats, and we tolerated his insanities for a while. And the result of that is the church lost a powerful preacher between Father's ego that was unchecked and out of control, and Joe McClane, who didn't avail himself of the opportunity to say, you're not acting correctly here. So you can blame me for it. It's all my fault. Trad, you're not wrong. Trad Kansas says, who do you think brought about Summorum Pontificum, the SSPX? I believe it was Benedict XVI's desire to find a way to bring the SSPX back into the fold. Lifting the excommunications in exchange for Summorum Pontificum was a great deal, and we should get it back. I think the problem, and I'm just being honest here, I think the problem with the society is like this is our thing, and we're the special ones. We're the chosen people. And you and the rest of you people are all wrong. Like, that notion is really not right. Lefebvre is a great man. I think he should be a saint, honestly. He should be declared a saint of the church. I think his sacrifices were genuine and sincere. And I don't think ill of the society or its people. But there is an attitude amongst certain circles within the society that is wrong. We should definitely care about that massive swath of Catholics who are in the Church of What's Happening Now, and they don't even know any better because nobody will tell them otherwise. Kind of like I never told Father Karapi that he was wrong because I didn't do that. It was a missed opportunity. That boat is now sailed, and there's no winning that one back. There's a massive opportunity, and we should care about every single soul that's stuck in this Church of What's Happening Now. We should care about them enough to take every opportunity we have to do something great about that. But instead, what's going to happen is they're going to get excommunicated again. That's going to have weight and concerns, and people are going to be bothered by the terminology and who knows what's up and what's down. We're going to debate this thing for 20 more years when it's solvable today. Solvable today, fixable today. And that's what gets me. Oh, I just reminded myself that, you ever watch the movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis? And he was like pushing for the Congress to pass, what was it, the 14th Amendment? Was it the 14th or 13th? I forget now. No, we want this now, not 4 years from now. We want it now. Like, oh man, I just reminded myself of that. Good grief. Worst president in American history, Abraham Lincoln. God rest his soul. Clayton Lee says, Father Karapi's organization wouldn't sell his CDs to our Catholic bookstore unless we paid the full price. Father Karapi, I could tell stories. I shouldn't tell stories, but I could tell stories. Trad Kansan says, no. The SSPX said to Pope Benedict, the church needs to be free the Latin Mass. And yeah, you're not wrong. You are right. That's what I was trying to say. The deal was excommunications lifted, needs Summorum Pontificum was to free the Latin Mass. And all of that was precipitated between this conversation between the society and Benedict. And that was a great thing. With Summorum Pontificum, the Latin Mass was spreading like wildfire through Novus Ordo parishes in my own backyard. It was amazing to watch. I could never believe how watching the TLM being said at a parish that was known for the clown mass, and here was a reverent, beautiful, intentional, traditional Latin mass being said. We attended just to support it. It was amazing. And that is why Traditionis Caseras was issued, to hammer the growth in Novus Ordo parishes. What they saw, the enemies of the TLM, what they saw frightened them. It wasn't the society that frightened them, or the fraternity, or Institute Christ the King, or the Good Shepherd. It was the TLMs in Novosado parishes that frightened them the most. But that conversation between the society and Benedict was a benefit to the whole church. There is no question about that in my mind. But I don't, just because this is, now going to happen again, all over again, listen, the fraternity is fantastic. We love the fraternity. Institute Christ the King, we love them. Good Shepherd, we love them. And I don't believe they're going to be targeted just because. Hallow says it's not just SSPX, it's trads in general. I've never encountered an attitude we are the chosen within the SSPX. Well, praise be to God, that is a good thing, but I certainly have. And it's really not right. And it does need to be checked. And I would say that that's the society's job to check that. I mean, there's bad apples in every basket, so they're not alone in that. They're not special or unique or in that way. I mean, they're no worse off than anybody else in the church as far as that goes. I'm just pointing it out as all. Chesterton says, sad to hear about Father Karapi, Joe. My mom was a big fan and would be heartbroken to know that he was mean-spirited or rude. I know he came from wealth. It sounds like he still had some baggage. Father Karapi's a very human guy, and it's not right for me to disparage his bad behaviors publicly. It's honestly, that's shame on me for doing that, but I think the context is necessary to understand, because I wanted to set it up to say that, I didn't do anything about it. I could have. I was in a position to do something, and I did nothing. So that's my fault, right? But he was a human guy. We do what we do from where we come from and who we are and what we have to work with. Father Karapi, his tool bag consisted of his business acumen, his strong-willed personality, his front-charging, go-after-it style. He had a business acumen based on his history that he brought to bear in his priesthood, and he figured it out, and he's like, wow, I could really do some amazing things and reach a much wider audience. None of that really started, because he had been a priest. He joined Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity, the SOLTS, Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity, the SOLT order. The reason why he joined that order was because they were not very ordered. That was intentional. He wanted to be a part of a community that was going to give him a huge leash to do whatever he wanted and never bother him over it. So he's official, but he's also independent. And you might remember, he did a whole series on the catechism for EWTN. And that kind of set him out and set him apart from other people. And he kind of got some fame for that. And then that's when he said, light bulb go off. Wait, hold on. I've got a whole history of entrepreneurship, business acumen. Why don't I just bring that and apply it to my priesthood? Amazing things will happen. And they did. And he started to take off, and he became in demand. And so organizations like the one I'd worked with, they were hiring him as he took off. And as he got more and more fame, he started to say, well, I demand more and more. I demand stadiums, not just conference rooms. I demand a stadium full of people. And I could go on. I could tell a bunch of stories about the behind the scenes stuff. And I don't think it's right that I do that, but the bottom line is he allowed his ego to go unchecked because he was not living in community. There's a reason why you live in community, is that it's a check and balance system, just like at the home. My wife is my check and my balance, right? He had no check and balance because he's living on his own, because his order allowed that to happen. And then when things got out of hand, because his ego was unchecked, his order tried to reel him in, and he said, no, I won't be reeled in. Not going to do it. And so the result was he got laicized. And now the church is worse off for it, honestly. The church is just worse off for it. Because we lost a powerful communicator, somebody who had clear talent and skill that could reach a lethargic masculine culture that had been effeminated. And now we're worse off for it. So it's really a sad story. Jane says, I'm glad you shared the downside of most popular priest that I personally went to his talk multiple times, always pricking my conscience. To be honest, self-knowledge, his disobedience was scandalous. It was unfortunate, honestly. Chesterton says, sad to hear about Father Crappie Joe. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Tell your mom I said I'm sorry. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Clayton Lee says, I love listening to Father Crappie talks. His talks are fantastic. He was great at giving them. Ruby says, but I have met a wonderful people whom I pray the rosary with every Saturday. Says, I honestly don't know if the Catholic Church I attend is good or not. The fact that two liberals who rally behind their Skittles son set up the newbie Catholic class is suspect. Yeah, that is suspect. I would agree. That's really not good. The SSPX are 1962 Missale Romanum Absolutus. That's a huge red flag for me. The pre-55 missile is far superior. Whoa. Ouch. Especially after experiencing Holy Week Pentecost. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, like, make the liturgy pre-55 again. You know what I'm saying? Like, whew. We go to a 62 missile, but arguably, demonstrably, the 55 is better. Bring on Father Maudsley as a guest. What would you prefer I talk to Father Maudsley about? Precisely. The Zionist thing, because he's got a lot to say about that, that's for sure. Chester says, it's good of you to own up to not holding Father accountable, but completely understandable at the same time. We all have to sleep with our beds. We have the beds that we've made for ourselves. Trying to read through some of there's a conversation going back and forth, so I kind of get lost in that sometimes and don't know what people are saying. Nicholas says, Joe, they've been burned by postponement, the postponement game already. As Cardinal Gagnon, Father Murr's friend, said, Lefebvre didn't trust the Vatican, and why fault him? I'm not asking them to trust the Vatican now, though. Like, that's not my argument. I don't need them to trust. I don't want them necessarily to trust the argument, the Vatican. I don't think anything will change as a result of having the conversation, other than the one thing that I feel is the most important thing in having the conversation at all, is that will be highly informative and educational to a huge swath of Catholics who never even knew it existed prior to that moment. It's a big, huge red pill, black pill, whatever color pill you prefer. For that reason alone, worth it, my opinion. Joe, they want younger bishops because the double dealing, the Vatican, and that they're going to get them. There's no question they're going to consecrate bishops. They're going to do that anyway. They were going to do it no matter what. They're still going to do it. That's never going to change. They're going to get younger bishops. They got a whole bunch of them lined up. But pausing 6 months would not have changed that outcome. So they still would have gotten that, but we might have also gotten a public debate. Now we won't. Now we certainly won't. What are we even doing here? I don't know. I wonder how long the SSPX can last. The first generation of them is dying off, and we're not too far from 10 to 20 years from having nobody around who knew Lefebvre. Me going to Israel would be like me going to California. It's not if I'm getting arrested, it's when. Pope Francis, says Nicholas, was impressed with the SSPX, could have a thriving seminary in a poor area of Buenos Aires. They are seeking to serve the poor. They are there as a part of formation. Yeah, we've mentioned this many times on this show, that Pope Francis had a far better relationship with the SSPX than what is currently being enjoyed. Mike says, Joe, we see the same holier-than-thou behavior from all kinds of Catholics, certainly FSSP and even regular TL. Yeah, I made that point, Mike. I said that. I said they're not any different than anybody else. In every bucket, there's a bad apple. There's no question. I admitted that. That's certainly true. I'm just pointing it out that their bucket also has them. That's all. They're not any worse. They're not any better. It's a pretty standard thread through all of them. Nicholas says, I like the SSPX has their priest and live in community. It keeps priests out of trouble if they remain together. A threefold cord is not easily broken. Yep. I think that's good too. Jane asks, where's Father Crappie now? So to my knowledge, he still lives in his cabin in the mountains or up in the hills of Montana. I'm guessing at his age, though, he's no longer riding his Harley, but who knows? It's possible. Trad Kansan says, Joe, how about inviting Father Loop from the SSPX on and ask him about your thoughts about delaying 6 months? That's possible. I'm not opposed to it. I certainly could. I don't know who the Father Loop is. I have interviewed other SSPX priests before. Elizabeth says, we don't want Joe to get a strike on his channel by having Father Maudsley on. Will Father Maudsley give me a strike? Probably. I put out, I had that conversation with the project manager from the Vulnerable People Project for Mideast Projects, and she was an eyewitness. She was there and present when the IDF attacked the Marian procession. I used the word attacked. I'm sure they would use some other word. And she was there to witness when the IDF invaded that brewery there in the Holy Land, in the West Bank. And despite the fact that she's an eyewitness to it all, I still got throttled by YouTube over that one. So that's a fun time. That's a good time, don't you think? I think the ISKP do the pre-55 Holy Week. Yeah. I think we're fighting for tradition. I think we fight for the pre-55 while we're at it. We're already making the fight, so why not fight for the pre-55? Thoughts on Leo Messi? I think he races cars or something, apparently a Catholic. Okay, so that's interesting. I intend to have a conversation about sports later this week. Father Daniel Alloy is going to be on the team on Thursday. He's a big sports fan. But the reason why I'm only bringing it up is because did you see the opening ceremony to the World Cup? I mean, pagan much? Anyone? Why is there such a compelling interest from all of these people? The Olympics, the World Cup, or whatever. It's like it's always football. It's just always this pagan culture. All of their stupid little Illuminati symbology. It's just like, why do you feel the need to do this every time? Like, it's so sickening sometimes. I mean, soccer's a fine and great sport. Why do we need more than just that? Like, you don't need to do anything else. Just, hey, we're here to play soccer. Let's have a great tournament, everybody, and play fair. Play your best. That's all that's required. But they go above and beyond to all this pagan crap and nonsense. It's so infuriating. All sports have become degenerate. That's part of that. But sports themselves is great. Sports is amazing. It teaches so much fortitude, teamwork. It's such a good thing for mankind, especially young men, young boys. To be involved in sport is a great thing. But we keep paganizing it. We keep bastardizing it. We keep doing horrible things. It's terrible. Hey, Trad Kansan, give me the contact for Father Loop. Maybe we can arrange that. Send it to the email address on the landing page, thestationacross.com/ACT. I have no issue with soccer by itself. I just have an issue with this insanity, this propaganda machine that's leveraging all of this to push mankind into this dark and devilish place. God help them for it. All right, well, I guess that's today's show. Praise be to Jesus. I guess Father Alloy is on. It's already tomorrow. Mea culpa. So we'll be back to talk about sports tomorrow. So there you go. Thanks for being on the team. Thanks for the lively convo.